What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another NHL edition of our DFS preview here at Fantasy Sports Insight. I am Hold the Door DFS. I am the content provider in our premium NHL Discord channel, which we have been just firing green screens in there with some takedowns, especially on Showdown. The Calgary stack against a injury-riddled Winnipeg Jets team turned out to be very good and profitable for our subscribers. So we have another slate tomorrow, another 5-gamer, a lot of showdowns. So if you want those showdown cores and the last minute line rushes and value plays that are coming out, be sure to get into our Discord channel, because there is, especially in playoff hockey, teams do not just give out the information on who's starting and who's not like you would see in a regular season game. A lot of times you'll see 3 guys come out for warmups to fill up one spot, and then 2 end up being healthy scratches, and then 1 guy starts, and he's 2,000, and he might be your value play. So let's get into the slate. It is one that we have Edmonton again against the Blackhawks. So I think the game stack is always in play there. Connor McDavid is absolutely just playing out of his mind. If you just are like new to hockey and you want to watch some highlights, just go to the Tampa or the game from the other night. Just insane, some of the things that he does up and down the ice. So we have the Islanders and Panthers, which will be the early showdown slate. Florida lost today because they're on the power play. They're on the PK like the entire game, so pretty tough to win. You know, they had to kill off a 4-minute penalty, and then 2 more 2 minutes, and then eventually they just couldn't keep it up, and it fell apart. So we'll talk about that game in the Discord channel for a showdown. Then we have the Bruins and the Lightning. It's almost like I don't like targeting this game because it's 2 great teams against each other that cancel each other out a little bit. Definitely Pastrnak and Kucherov and Bergeron and, the studs in this game can thrive and do well. But I would rather target a game like Edmonton and Chicago, where no one wants to play any defense, and they don't play a tough playoff atmosphere type. It's a run and gun, and who can score the most goals to win. And then we also have Colorado as a -130 favorite against Dallas. That means Nathan McKinnon's on the slate, who's always in play. It just makes it a little bit harder, and you'll see in the price tags with him and McDavid. So closely priced together, it makes it tough to go to McKinnon probably against a better Dallas Stars defense. Pittsburgh Penguins -165 favorite against the Canadiens. And then we end with the 6.5 total, which I still think is probably too low, Edmonton and Chicago. So we will get into that here as we move on to our slate. So let's get into it here. I'm going to go position by position and try to point out some value and some people, again, that are just underpriced. Actually, the Nashville game is not up here, but Nashville and Arizona again, and we'll get to that game as well. So at the top of the slate, I think McDavid, even at 8,700, will still be extremely popular. I think this is one of the highest price tags I've seen on any individual player in NHL DFS on DraftKings, but I think it's warranted. I think, you're going to see, with McDavid, you're going to see 22, 23 minutes. He plays on, most of the entire power plays. He overskates his line rushes. He sometimes jumps in with the 4th line, so then he's back out there at the 1st line when they come out. I mean, the man is just insane. So McDavid at 6.5 total, one of the best plays on the slate. Nathan McKinnon, I think, will be a GPP play on the road here. Just because I think the ownership's going to go to McDavid. So I think he's a nice leverage play who has the exact same upside, if not more. In the regular season game and throughout the course of the year, I think you actually were seeing people prioritize McKinnon over McDavid just because of his shot floor. McKinnon's got, a better chance at the 5 shots on goal bonus, where McDavid likes to take high efficient shots that he scores goals on. So he's not just going to be firing all these shots from deep. He tries to get close to the net and to put it home. So both are good plays. I prefer McDavid. Draisaitl kind of got lost in the last game because the 1st line scored so much, but he is a great leverage or just a game stack It's just 7,700 is a lot to swallow there, just relative to the slate. As I talked about Bergeron, I think he is definitely viable, and a Boston stack is viable in GPPs. It's just not somewhere I'm probably going to go in cash. Sidney Crosby and Melkin kind of quietly continue their run. You know, he's had goals in both games. Has had actually high shot totals, which I think is pretty impressive for somebody that normally, again, closer to the net is going to be or working behind the net to get the puck back out to someone like Getzel. But he's not typically somebody that you see contending for a 5 shots on goal bonus most slates. Again, maybe it's the playoffs. He's just playing a little bit differently. But 6,900 is an absolute steal for Sidney Crosby. And then Melkin is at 6,700, who is also a steal. Look at the shot totals in these first 2 games. 7 shots on goal in the second game, 8 shots on goal in the first game. The time on ice is not really going to change. He's going to be up near the 20. So, again, he is massively in play, especially in cash, because of that floor he's going to give you. He's just shooting the puck a ton, and I think that's just partly due to Montreal's inability to possess the puck. Tyler Sagan is 5,500. Now, I said almost the exact same thing when he was 5,900 last slate, and it burned me. He had like 1.3 points. Didn't even have a shot on goal. So I think it's somewhere you can go back to. I think people will be scared off of that, especially on the road. But Colorado is not – I mean, they are now at home. Sagan is. Colorado's defense is not something that is normally talked about very highly. So I don't think that don't be scared off by the last game. I think Sagan is an incredible value and a very good point per dollar play of somebody that we'd normally see in the high 6s, low 7s. As we go down here, Ryan Johansen had a goal today. He's a great pairing in a Nashville stack. Joe Pavelski is a nice price as well. Going down here a little bit further, Derek Stefan, I continue to like. At 3,500, he is a great value. You know, even today, he had an assist, 1 shot on goal. I mean, you're going to see some lower games from him, but, the time on ice is always going to be, 16 to 18. He's going to be in those high pressure situations. End of the game when they're close, he's going to be out there. So I like him. You're probably getting a little bit more upside from someone like Kirby Dach, who's, played 18 and 19 minutes on ice. That's insane. That's for basically a rookie. I do like him again in a high-pace environment. He's just, he's getting some power play action. All he's got to do is get his stick on a puck before it goes in, and there is a 5-point assist. So I like Kirby Dach there as a nice value at 3,200 in a game that should, again, bleed a lot of goals. That's kind of where I'm at here. Again, I think we'll probably see some more value come out here on this when we get some more line rushes. Someone like Suzuki, Bonino, all are viable as well. But let's move on to the winger position, where you have David Pastrnak, the most expensive winger on the slate. Had 3 points last game, which is pretty insane. He's another guy that you see the shots on goal 5, 5, 6, 6. So he's always a great cash play because he creates a floor. And then when he adds a goal on top of it or an assist or multiple, that's when you see the 20-plus point games. Again, I just don't really love targeting this game in general from a cash perspective when I can go down a little bit cheaper and get one of my favorite plays on the slate in Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane, listen to me when I say his shots on goal in the last 2 games in the playoffs, but 5, 7, the last game before they left, 11 shots on goal, 7 against St. Louis, 6 against Detroit. I mean, the upside is insane. Okay, so one of my favorite plays on the slate, probably my first guy in on the slate, and then potentially looking at a guy like McDavid. But Patrick Kane, lock him in at home against the Oilers. Nugent Hopkins, again, a great pairing with McDavid. If you're going to use 3 high-priced players and it ends up being McDavid, Patrick Kane, and Nugent Hopkins, I think you are starting out on the right track. So someone like Taylor Hall is still too cheap at 6,300. Didn't play that well today, but we know just obviously he has the shots on goal floor as well as a high chance of scoring. They do get to go home and get out of Nashville, so that does help. Gensel is a nice pairing with someone like Sidney Crosby. The running mates here for Colorado are super cheap, and Landeskog and Rantanen. I think Landeskog skated on the second line last game, and Rantanen was with McKinnon, so just make sure you check those line rushes before they come out. Philip Forsberg, one of my favorite plays again on the slate, 5,800, just too cheap. I don't even think he got in a goal or assist today, but he had 6 shots on goal, giving him 12 DK. Phenomenal price, or phenomenal play for the price tag. And then moving down, I still can't find his line mate that I want, but there he is, Victor Arvidsson at 4,500. Kind of bailed out at the end with a goal, but again, love his price, love his matchup. DeBrincat, again, if you're just kind of looking for that game stack for Chicago and Edmonton, you have Saad, you have DeBrincat, Kublak, 5,700. We move down here a little. I like Matt Duchene a ton for 4,400. Clayton Keller, 4,000 is too cheap. Phil Kessel, same thing. Connor Sheary's been skating on the first line as well with Crosby and Gensel, and actually notched 2 assists last game for 3,800. Definitely beat his value, but he will be somebody that will be dependent on getting those assists rather than creating a floor with any sort of shots or blocks or anything like that. We saw Zach Cassian move off of the first line for Edmonton, and Archibald moved into it. Didn't really matter. Archibald didn't do much either. Chiasson, though, is still consistently getting on that power play with that group. And again, I think he nabbed a goal late too, which seemed like kind of an outlier. His floor is super low because if he does not get on the score sheet with an assist or a goal, he likely doesn't do much at all. But if he's on that first power play again, I think he's definitely in play. Alex Nylander did see a decreased role in his ice time last game. So he was somebody that I would stream in terms of looking at the line rushes as they come out, see if he is still lined up with Patrick Kane, and then that would still create enough of value at 2,700 to put him in play. Here's Archibald, who was listed on the top line, and actually did see the time on ice definitely increase. I know when, McDavid scored a couple of his goals, it was off of like a flick from Nugent Hopkins that just sent him on a fast breakaway, not something that was set up where you would see a higher chance of somebody like Archibald getting an assist on. But again, if he's top line with McDavid and Nugent Hopkins at 2,600, it's hard to do worse. So let's move on to defender. One thing I will point out, if you take away the Edmonton game, obviously, a lot of times cash players will use 3 defenders. GPP, you'll see that utility position used for a skater with more goal upside. So just from a strategy standpoint, that is something that if you study some guys like Testosterone, Reshi, Saul Goodman, Sycamore, those guys, you will see a lot of them using defenders in the utility role just because their floors are so high. So Roman Josi, top price defenseman on the slate, and is every bit worth it. It's just going to be tough to get there with the Edmonton Chicago stack. Chris Letang as well. Oscar Klefbom was a little bit disappointing last game relative to how many goals were scored, but he has immense upside even at 6,200 to be part of that game stack and part of those goals with McDavid. That goes the same for someone like Darnell Nurse. And then Victor Hedman, I don't love the matchup, so I'm not really going there. Duncan Keith came down to earth last game. Only had 4.1, but still the time on ice is insane. The guy's out there all the time. It can easily get behind an assist or two. So I think at 4,900, he can definitely be part of a stack for Chicago. Moving down, Chychrun is a nice value at 4,500 along with Klingberg. Even moving down here a little bit further, my favorite value still on the entire slate for the defenders is going to be Ethan Bear. 24 minutes on ice. Did have an assist taken away from him. Either it was taken away from him or he never got it, or it was bad scoring by somebody. But Ethan Bear, look at the time on ice, 24, 23, 27, 25, 3,400. Lock him in cash. You need value. I like him. Other than that, he was a Slater was a slate breaker last game with a goal and assist. I don't really expect that just to repeat, but he obviously has some upside here. The time on ice is a little bit concerning. That just means he's not really out there a ton, so he's got to make the most of his time when he is out there. Then you can take a flyer on someone like Adam Larson, who's going to play some decent minutes, but plays more of a defensive role in the defenseman. So your goal would be maybe to get the 3 block bonus. That's about it. But 2,800, he's living, he's moving around, he's on the ice. Anything can happen. So if you want some other values, someone like a little bit of Jason Demers, he is someone that you can look at as well. He has had 3 shots on goal, a 5 block game. He's somebody that normally will rack up the blocks. I think when you're looking for value defenders that you're punting this low, like if you can get the 3 blocks, you're getting 1.3, 1.3, 1.3. So 3.9 plus the 3-point bonus. I mean, 6.9 points for, this kind of salary. You take that any day of the week. And then maybe you get behind 1 shot on goal, and then there's a chance at an assist. And then you're all of a sudden at, 12, 13 DK. So I think the defender position is somewhere that you can definitely punt when you're trying to get to the studs. Goalie tomorrow, I'll talk more about this in my Discord channel, but I think Nashville on the road being the most expensive goalies does scare me a bit. Same with Pitt now being on the road. So I think you'll want to look a little bit closer at the odds and try to find the cheapest home favorite. So maybe Edmonton, but I don't want Edmonton. So it looks like the cheapest home favorite is going to be maybe Tuukka Rask. But again, 7,800 against Tampa Bay. Goalie's going to be pretty brutal tomorrow. So you might just even punt with somebody like Darcy Kemper and hopefully that Arizona can get a home win. Otherwise, take a flyer on one of these favorites that are on the road and just pray that it works out in your favor. So that's all I'm going to talk about tonight. Those showdown slates that we break down in our Discord channel, be sure to check those out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We appreciate it. And let's enjoy another late game hammer with Connor McDavid and Patrick Kane. All right, I'm checking out, and you guys have a good night.